Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've gathered some interesting sources today, and we're focusing on something really pivotal for any growing business. How you choose the right accounting and, well, business advisory firm.
Right. Because as your business starts to scale up, those straightforward bookkeeping tasks, they suddenly get a lot more complex. You're looking at needing real strategic financial management, thinking about smarter tax planning, getting actual operational advice.
Exactly. And what these sources really drive home is that this choice, it isn't just about hiring someone to, crunch the numbers. It's more about building a partnership, a vital one for your long-term success.
Yeah, it's interesting how the material puts it less like picking a vendor and much more like choosing a co-pilot, someone to help navigate all the stuff that comes with growth, the challenges, and the opportunities.
Okay. So our mission here is to unpack the key steps, the really crucial things you need to consider, based on what's in these sources. Right. Let's get into it. What did the sources say is the very first step? Where do you begin?
Well, they've really emphasized the need to first properly understand your own needs, specifically how they're changing as you grow.
Okay.
Because growth isn't static, right? It's a process. So you need to look ahead a bit, try to anticipate what's coming. Things like planning for expansion, maybe more detailed budgeting, forecasting, tax efficiency.
Tax efficiency? That sounds kind of broad. Did the sources get more specific about what growing businesses actually need help with there?
They did, yeah. They mentioned specifics like maybe navigating R&D tax credits if you're innovating more, or understanding capital allowances when you start investing in bigger assets.
Oh, okay.
The main point was you've got to find a firm whose expertise actually lines up with the specific complexities your growth is creating.
That makes perfect sense. And here's something I found really interesting in these sources. They really push the idea of looking beyond just compliance.
Absolutely.
It's not just finding someone to file things correctly. You need actual proactive advisors.
Which brings up a really critical question they posed. Is the firm you're considering genuinely forward-thinking? Are they bringing strategic ideas for your business's future to the table, or just reporting on the past?
Good question.
The sources highlighted some key qualities here. Things like providing strategic business advice, almost being like a high-level sounding board, having deep knowledge of your specific industry, and crucially, offering services that can actually scale.
Scalable services. What did the sources mean by that, practically speaking?
Well, they suggested looking for firms that can handle your needs not just now, but as you get bigger. One concrete example was a firm potentially being able to step in and provide, say, a virtual finance director role.
Ah, right.
So you get that senior financial expertise without needing to hire someone full-time right away. That kind of flexibility.
Okay, that's a clear example of scalability. So you understand your evolving needs. You need proactive, scalable advisors.
Yeah.
What next? The sources listed quite a few factors for evaluating potential firms.
Yes, it was a pretty detailed checklist. Obviously, core expertise is fundamental, covering everything from basic accounting right up to maybe M&A support or complex international tax, depending on your situation. But reputation was huge, too. The advice was to check online reviews, definitely ask for testimonials, and verify their professional credentials. They mentioned bodies like the ICAEW or ACCA as signs of high standards.
And technology wasn't overlooked either, was it?
No, definitely not. Being proficient with modern cloud accounting software, Xero, QuickBooks, tools like that, the sources presented that as pretty much essential now.
Not just a nice to have.
And not just a nice to have, and not just their internal use, but also how well they can help you use that tech effectively in your own business.
Then there's the people side of things.
Hugely important. The sources really stressed assessing the team you'd be working with and the overall cultural fit. Are they easy to get hold of? Will you have a main contact person? Is their communication clear, proactive?
And fees, obviously.
Fees, of course, you need clarity on that. Is it fixed fees, hourly rates, value-based pricing? But the material strongly suggested focusing on the total value and the strategic input you're getting, not just hunting for the lowest price tag.
Right, value over cost.
Exactly. Oh, and don't forget location if having face-to-face meetings matters to you.
It's quite the list to work through. Did the sources suggest a kind of step-by-step process for this?
They did lay out a logical approach. Start by really nailing down your specific requirements for the next, say, 2 to 3 years. Then do your research, create a short list, maybe 3 or 4 firms.
Okay.
Then have initial consultations. Use that time to ask really targeted questions about their experience with businesses like yours, their strategic thinking. Then, carefully review any proposals they send, looking beyond just the price, as we said, to the actual solutions offered.
And the final step.
Check references thoroughly. The strong recommendation was to actually speak to some of their existing clients, ideally ones similar to your business.
Right, so pulling all this together from the sources we looked at, choosing the right firm seems to come down to finding a partner, someone who has the technical skills you need right now,
The technical proficiency.
but also someone who genuinely aligns with your business, your culture, your vision, where you're trying to get to.
It is definitely an investment. The sources make that clear. But they argue it's an investment that pays off not just in, sound financial management or strategic advice.
But in something more.
Yeah. Ultimately, in building a more resilient business and gaining, frankly, some peace of mind as you deal with all the complexity that growth brings.
So here's something to think about. As your business keeps growing, keeps evolving, how will you make sure that the advisory relationship you build today stays flexible enough, stays capable enough to handle the unexpected challenges and opportunities that are bound to come up tomorrow? Worth considering.